Looks like this is going to be another TVZ with Thors, and I guess your goal is to push with +1 armor, Thors, and Blue Flame with half Thor, 1/4 Hellion, 1/4 Marine kind of thing. At 10 minutes with usually a $3,000 army, because that's what I've seen you do in the last 2 games, and you've done the same thing twice, which means that you're pretty comfortable with this build, and you don't want to make major changes to it. So some minor changes that I'd like to see is that you can get a 3rd Thor, I think, and even if you can't, you can have your first 2 Thors out quicker. You're kind of saving this armory for a long time. Have you even started it? In the last couple games, that's how you start the armory at 6 minutes, and that's again what's going on here. You're starting the armory at 6 minutes after you get some Hellions for map control, but map control is a concept that doesn't make any sense to people like you and me that don't have the APM to spare on running our Hellions around the field. Like, pushing out with the Hellion, securing the watchtowers, chasing Lings around, that's gonna interrupt your build. So I don't like the idea of starting off with some Hellions to secure map control. So the gas piling up is kind of I feel like it might be intentional. I feel like you might be piling up gas so that you can get what's going on here? So that you can get Blue Flame and +1 armor. But honestly, +1 armor is let's see, 5 1/5 is 20. It's like a 20% boost, right? For the cost of 100 gas, 20% boost to your Thor's ability to soak up damage. But you have 2 Thors, and if you had 3 Thors instead of 2 Thors, that would be a 50% boost. You know, my point is that when you have very few of something, upgrades tend not to pay for themselves. You know, so I'd rather see 3 Thors than +1 armor. I tend to only get armory upgrades for a 1 base push if I screwed up my build enough that I have extra gas and I don't know what to do with it. Marauders, I really dislike this. I don't think you should ever make Marauders with a Thor push, because the primary thing Marauders are useful against in the early game, actually the only thing Marauders are useful against, Spine Crawlers, you can't use them against Spine Crawlers because if they take damage, there's no medevac to heal them. So that's out. Roaches. Thors already crush roaches. Marines are great against roaches. There's no need to make Marauders to counter roaches when you can just make Marines and serve the same purpose. Because Marines are cheaper, Marines don't use the gas that you need for your Thors, Marines are better at that job, and just generally I don't like the idea of Marauders here. You're going to go with your second Thor at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, just like before. You've got this build pretty crisply down. You're doing the same thing every time, and I like that. That means you've practiced this build a bunch, and you're pretty good at it. Now we're at 10 minutes. You've got $3,000 plus 300 here and 200 here, so 3,500. This is the best you've ever done on this Thor push, by the way. Thought you should know. And again, just like before, you supply blocked at 83. It's so funny. You supply block at exactly 83 every time. It coincides with lowering this depot and beginning to start to push out. Whenever you lower the depot, you supply block yourself. So start remembering that, man. So here we go. Come on, we're going to move out with a bunch of SCVs and stuff. This time, you're going to notice you have 3 Thors. That's one of the big differences over the previous times. You have $1,000 of Hellions, $1,500 of Thors, and what is this, like $500 of infantry? So you're very heavily Thor biased. You've got half Thors, half other stuff, just like last time. And you've got +1 armor done for your Thors. You've got Blue Flame done for your 10 Hellions. And here you're gonna go. I'm a little bit worried for you this time, because your opponent is actually reacting to the fact that you're one-basing by making an army. In the previous games, your opponent was doing stupid things that should not be done against somebody who's one-basing. He has an Overlord here. He knows you haven't expanded. All he has to do is survive whatever your push happens to be, and he wins the game. So it makes a lot of sense for the Zerg to do what this Zerg is doing, which is getting a huge frickin' army and taking over the world. So all of those Lings are going to melt to your 10 Blue Flame Hellions, and that's great. It looks like he doesn't have enough remaining units afterwards to get anything done. His choice to make Mutas, I think, really crippled him here. His choice to get 4 Spore Colonies really crippled him here, and just Oh no, don't move those SCVs. Oh, you had that. That was kind of a little micro mistake. You had a fully surrounded being repaired Thors, and then you moved your SCVs forward, and they stopped repairing. Going for that expo is silly because you don't care how much money he gets. If he loses his main, he's done. You know, let him keep that 30 even if he has it. Taking damage on that Marauder is always a big mistake because he's the only thing in your composition that can't be repaired. Not turning on auto repair, I think, is a really big mistake here because your guys are not repairing. They're just kind of sitting there watching your Thors. I feel like you had this game won after that first engagement, and I'm a little worried that with a couple of mistakes stacked on top of each other, now your reinforcements are going to be a lot smaller than his. Back home, you are managing to keep your money low without queuing up too much stuff, which I think is really cool. You've made another command center. You're still mining at almost full capacity on your first base. You've left these Marines behind, but I guess worried about a Nidus, but that's ridiculous. Go in there, kill this, end the game, man. Go. You're waiting for your third Thor. I think that's a mistake. Because the longer you wait, the more crap he's going to get. I'm surprised that he's making so many Lings. I feel like if he just made pure Roach, he would be able to deal with this so much easier. So his income continues to be higher than yours. His production capacity continues to be higher than yours. He finally surrounds with Lings, but doesn't quite kill your Thors. And he gets all pissy because he feels like he should have won this game. I actually feel like he should have won this game too. Look at the units lost. He lost 8,000 and you only lost 4,000. He went with a tiny little group of dudes over and over and over, and it's ridiculous. But he did make enough troops to kill your Thor push. He just didn't make them all at once and didn't use them all at once. It was his own fault for doing some silly things. You made Thors and Blue Flame on one base and repaired it to no end. What the... But yeah. You executed the build better that time than you have in any of the other games. You supply blocked at 83 for the 8 billionth time. You didn't start your first Thor early enough, I feel. You got a lot of upgrades for a very small number of Thors, which by the end of the game was really important and paid for itself quite well. But in the first push, it wasn't really worth cutting the Thor numbers very much. You made this Marauders. I think the Marauders really, if we watched the Marauders during each of those battles, I don't think they ever paid for themselves. And the Expo, you never mined from it, so I don't know about getting this Expo. But generally, good job, man. You crushed him. I don't know. There's not a lot of opportunity for constructive advice when you're winning all of the games. So those TVZs are just examples of how you did a pretty good job with what you wanted to do, and you won. That's fine. I mean, if you face somebody who notices that you're one-basing and making Thors and just gets 30 roaches, he's gonna kill you. But that didn't happen in any of those games, so we can't talk about it yet.